What's up guys, Ricky here from Lucky Roll, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about how to compress your low end. So we're going to be using two techniques here with compression. So the first technique is going to be, we're going to be thinking about how long are we going to allow the kick to live in time. So we're going to be controlling the length of the kick essentially with a compressor. And the other way we're going to use compression is by reducing the dynamic range of the bass line. So what these two things are going to do is you're going to be able to control the space in which of your low end and where it fits in the mix, and as well as how much dynamic range is in the low end so that it can be stable whenever you get to the mastering phase and your limiter isn't getting hit too hard. So let's get started. Here is a loop that we got here. So here I have an SSL compressor. You can also use the glue compressor for this. So you want a very slow attack. You want a very fast release time. You measure out the mega gain how you want it. And you are going to want to be reducing 1 to 2 dB. You don't want too much. You know, you're just in mixing phase. You're just controlling the space of the kick. So those are the settings I got on here. And this is without the compressor. With the compressor, and so if you have some monitors that can give you a really good low end reference, you'll notice that the boom, the tail, is just being cut. It's just being you can tell that the space of the kick kind of just got defined a little, just got put into its nice little drawer. You can think about it that way. I'm gonna put the kick in this drawer, and I'm not gonna let anything leak out of that drawer. It's just gonna live right here. That's essentially what this compressor is doing. I do have a little bit of makeup gain because you are reducing the level of your kick, right? And so I have about 1 dB of makeup gain. So this is the first technique, and so now let's talk about the bass. So here we have our bass line. Very simple bass line. It's just like a rolling bass line. And so here we have a compressor. This is just your Ableton regular stock compressor, and your settings for this are going to be a little different. I want to tame the dynamics of the sound, right? So I actually have a very fast attack. The fast attack, right? I want the compressor to immediately act. And you'll measure out the release just to see where you want it, right? So this is a fairly quick release. I'm just going to take out the makeup gain. You can see that when I take the compressor out, there's a little bit more of jumpiness to the bass. So, and even you can see there in that visual that the compressor is giving, is all those little spikes. I just want to level them out. I just want to level those out, and it's just going to give you a really nice, stable bass line, right? And then I just had a little bit of makeup gain because I am reducing the loudness of that. So I just bring it back, and I have a nice loud, to level bass line, but the dynamics are tamed. And so now we're going to go to our kick and bass bus. And what we want to do here, we're essentially, when we're doing this, I'm doing a multi-band compression. And what I'm doing here is I'm taming the low end dynamics, right? I don't want the low end to be very dynamic. I want it to live in a certain dynamic range, but I don't want it to go past that. I don't want the low end to be jumping around so much, and then when it gets to my limiter, it's hitting it too hard. There's so much energy in the low end that you really, really have to control it. So multi-band compressor, my crossover frequency is 150, And so let me show you how it sounds without it. In this scenario, I'm actually compressing quite a bit, and you can see that the makeup gain in my output is I am reducing the volume of my low end sub 150 hertz, and that's because I referenced and this track we're trying to send it off to a record label. Their low end was a lot more tamed than ours was, and so we're just matching levels here. Then so that referencing is a key tool to use so that you know where to set your low end and where to set anything. Where's the hi-hat? Where's certain elements, how loud they are, how present. You want to match that vibe. All of these things contribute to the vibe. So at this stage, you just want to tame the dynamics of that low end. So let's take it off. Exactly. So I'm just bringing down the dynamics. I have my threshold, which right, and I do have a fairly fast attack, right, and a fairly fast release because you want the compressor to reach back to zero by the time the next kick hit comes. You know, you don't want because at the same time the pumping is still important. Okay, so that's multi-band compression for the low end, very important. It'll make your low end very stable. And second, this is when the spacing of our low end, right? And this is also gonna contribute to more pumping because the SSL compressor is in a bus, right? So the compressor is going to react to the transient of the kick. However, I have it to a slow attack, so it's gonna tame the tail of. So that's essentially going to create a pumping effect because I'm going to have a fast release. So the compressor is going to react. It's going to come back. And it's going to create this breath. And you're going to clearly hear it here. So you can clearly tell right there that when I had the compressor off, it was a little more flat. The track was a little more flat, but then I turned it on and it gave it this breath, this motion, right? So these are very similar settings to how I had the kick. So I have a very slow attack, a very fast release time, and I want maybe so. I have barely even 1 dB of gain reduction because I just want to create the breath. I don't want this compressor to be like slapping the kick and bass too much, right? And so this is a very useful technique to create that pumping effect on your low end. If you don't have the SSL compressor by Waves, you can use your glue compressor, which resembles an SSL compressor. I hope this helps you guys. I hope this was some good insights on how to create really good low end for your techno and tech house tracks. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, give us a thumbs up. Please drop any suggestions or anything else. We're going to keep making more of these videos. See you guys on the next video.